Good morning, freedom lovers. How are we today? It is 10 o'clock in the morning here in Queensland. Is it too early for a drink? Probably not. It's got to be drink o'clock somewhere. Rum in the morning. Nothing like good healthy breakfast, don't you agree? So, we've got a few things holding us up at the moment. Heidi will be with us soon. That's okay. I've got my microphone again. Thank you. Voice behind the door. Where was I? So we were closing all this stuff down because we don't need all that stuff at the moment. Oh, I haven't got a magic crystal ball going out. Yeah, it's all a bit of a shit show at the moment. All good, all good. Ah, look at that. Heidi's coming on board. That'll be all good. Just give her a minute to get herself composed and ready. All right, I think I've managed to get a lot of this stuff sorted. Managed to find a few new ways around the internet today, which has been very helpful. You got to love it when you reinstall hard drives and stuff. A supreme confidence that I've backed everything up and find out that you haven't. But it's okay. I've got it sorted now. I think so anyway. We'll be testing a few things as the weeks go on. All right, let's just set this stuff up a little bit more. Oh, we got that and that. All right. Heidi still looks like she's still getting herself ready. That's all right. We've got some files to bring in because I think I managed to break on through to the other side. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, bear with me. Try to do these things at 10 o'clock because it's like, give me a bit more time to get things done later in the day, but it didn't give me much time to get things ready today. So, good with the bad, I guess. How's everybody going out there? We got a few people there, not many comments though. Morning, Belinda, Alexander, how you going? Personal account. Again. Was it Grand Rising? For Sunday, folks. Yes, it is. Sebs. Alrighty then. So I've got these documents and we want to open this stuff up in the browser. We want to, why are you not giving me what I want? Damn bloody Windows 11. Oh, I think I found it. Oh, it goes away when you do multiples. Any wonder I'm having trouble. All right, and we want to open that there. Sorry, it's going to be slow and painful because, Windows is really good. Don't you love it when they give you updates and everything's fucked? It's great. Once upon a time, Microsoft had testing staff, and Microsoft didn't suck completely at that point, Since they've gotten rid of their testing staff, things seem to have gone downhill. Massively. All right, I've got the articles. We are good to go. How are you, Heidi?
Well, just had a few computer dramas, but other than that, we're good.
As long as it's not just me. As long as it's not just me. These things happen.
Oh, ever since I was raided, my computer hasn't been working properly, and as much as I've complained about it, I've been told it's not true, and I've got videos, and anyway, is what it is.
Wow, might have to privately prosecute them or something to that effect.
Maybe.
So, the mainstream media are at it again, conjuring up their own version of reality. It's, what's the psychological dysfunction for, having to conjure up your own reality?
Yeah, it's been a really interesting, journey with the media. There's so many articles, and then they change them around, especially the online ones, and they remove the good ones when they've got something bad to say, or the last one was just a classic. I think it says I've got a picture of it here. Quasi lawyer in spit appeal. So they're actually taking the civil case with the Legal Service Commissioner, and they're blending it with the challenge that I've got against criminal charges. And you can't compound those because it really brings in such a apprehended bias or misconstrued as to what the story is. But the last one was just outstanding. The reporter, Luke, was actually in the courtroom, and we were watching a sentencing of a very serious case in relation to a manslaughter case that had gone for a couple of hours. And when that was finished, I actually walked over to him and I said, do you think you've written more articles about me than anyone else in Queensland in the paper? Like, this guy's just been charged with manslaughter and you're here for me. And he just gave me a little giggle. And then he was standing at the registry as we were leaving, and I just did this little meme behind him going, oh, what are the headlines going to be today? Heidi fails again. She's this, she's that. And let's make sure we pick the 2 worst photos that we have on file for her, even though through the Chamber of Commerce, when I was running for council, all of that, they have so many other pictures, but they keep running these pictures, which weren't even my court cases, wasn't in relation to me. And they're years old, and they just it's this vindictiveness that's really the underpinning thing that's bothering me, because media should be balanced reporting, should it not?
It's supposed to be. That's what they claim. That's the claim. I mean, there's the ultimate lie in itself, isn't it? They claim to have balanced reporting, but they don't. So the very premise of their existence is a lie.
Well, that's it. So, even calling me a quasi lawyer, this is an interim injunction. 99% of any injunction of this nature you wouldn't even hear about. And they're literally sensationalizing the headlines. My brochure clearly says on there, I am not a lawyer.
Yeah.
It's precise. It says, I am not a lawyer. I've never held myself out to be a lawyer. I have never stood in court and represented anyone. I was a Mackenzie's friend, and all I got to say is, if it pleases the court, my name's Heidi Ward, and I was kicked out. So, and that was after Jessica Hambry was released from prison with a complete deprivation of liberty at the hands of a magistrate and prosecutor. And so them insinuating fact that I'm a quasi lawyer, whatever that is meant to mean. And then Lawyer Weekly has put, legal imposter.
Wow.
Which again, this is a law newspaper actually insinuating fact. I think it said alleged law imposter. So it's really gotten to the point that it's really malicious. It's degrading. It's absolutely painting it in a light that it shouldn't be. And the last article that this reporter did, he actually blended multiple court appearances together, and he called the magistrates court the appeals court, and that I was the appellant in a magistrates court. And all that was about was a judicial review. I caught the wrong bus. I went to the wrong court with the wrong application, which I've now sorted out. They're the hurdles of being a self-represented litigant, trying to get the truth. And I own that. And I have to say the judge in that matter was exceptionally respectful and polite, and actually told me, where to go and where to look and what section of the law. He even repeated it. So it was all of like a 10-minute thing that they've sensationalized into, I lose appeal and I have to start again. It wasn't even an appeal.
Yeah.
So it's really frightening. And the other thing is, in relation to that case, in my injunction, I've been banned from this brochure that I put out, which was legal advocate. And potentially I should have used the word community advocate, and we wouldn't be in this position. But all it is, it was to educate, to show people how I've navigated through the system, because you only get help in legal aid if you're below a certain income. And if you're above, you're the everyday person, you basically can lose everything. For example, my quote for the Legal Service Commissioner case is $120,000. Now, I did an average. If someone, say, had a $400,000 mortgage, they had to borrow or could borrow that $120,000, that's $8,000 a year for 25 years. That turns into $300,000. which to the average layman or layperson, as they call it in court, no one can do that. So it appears that to get legal representation that is of a caliber to handle, say, an executive or a regulator of the government, you're basically facing bankruptcy at an allegation.
Yeah.
And that can't be humanly possible under the human rights, because if you're put in that detriment to fight an allegation, that's not a fair trial.
No, not at all. So to now that I've got that stuff up, sorry, it took me a little while to get it going. I can show people the kind of, bullshit statements they're making, quasi-lawyer claims after advocate's alleged role in murder case. So quasi-lawyer, what does the internet have to say?
Oh, I haven't looked that up.
What does that mean? Well, here's the legal finder. It's got quasi-contracts, but there doesn't seem to be any term for quasi-lawyer. It looks like they've invented their own terms. I mean, the term quasi itself in a legal context is crucial, as it frequently appears in various doctrines and proceedings. And goes to quasi-contract. Again, a quasi-contract, also known as an implied in law contract, is a legal construct that enforces obligations on parties who have not entered into a formal agreement, rooted in the principle of unjust enrichment. Well, that sounds kind of like a speeding fine, doesn't it?
Yeah. So there's a lot of articles on quasi-law, and they're from the scholars and professors and all of that. But in this situation, what they're doing is they're implying fact that I'm a quasi-lawyer. It doesn't say alleged quasi-lawyer or anything. It actually straight out says quasi-lawyer, which when something's before the court making those sort of comments, you've got a thing called sub judice trial by media. And some of the bullying and some of the comments online, our friend, Mr. Pseudonym, he takes it to a whole nother level of, making memes and songs and all the rest of it. But
he's a troll. He's a troll. That's all it is.
Yeah. So let's not give him any time. But the point is that it's not just my case. I've seen in other cases, like quasi claim advocate's role in murder court case. So I go into the court, I stand next to this lady, I'm asked who I am, I explain that I'm here as Mackenzie's friend. Magistrate Dwyer turns around and asks Jessica Hambry, why do you need a Mackenzie's friend? And she says, for emotional support after you locked me up for 40 days unlawfully. And he said, well, she can do that from the back of the court. And when I went to the back of the court, I sort of shook my head as wow. And he said, I'm not going to have any of that nonsense in the court. And I was kicked out. And that is the extent of me apparently being representing in a murder case that had nearly 70 gigabytes of material where a lady was alleged to have murdered her child. And the prosecution pulled the case with not enough evidence. So,
that should be the real story. Police prosecution, couldn't hold their case together and, made a wild, unfounded, accusation against some poor woman who's lost her own child. Where's that headline? Why aren't the mainstream media getting onto that? That's what does my head in, because what the police seem to have done in that case, I'm not 100% familiar with it, but as from what I can see and what we've discussed, the police were completely wrong and they should have done their job properly rather than just go, that's the easy solution, we'll just go with that,
Oh, no, she was imprisoned for 40 days. And the judgment, HZX versus QPS, which is the application I put in for a writ of habeas corpus, and a friend of the court changed that into a writ of certiorari, which got her out eventually in an hour. And the judgment says she had a complete deprivation of liberty. Now, there's a problem with the prosecutions here, and I've realised that potentially the same principal prosecutor has been involved now. I've been charged with 16 criminal matters, so 14 criminal matters and 2 other civil or quasi-criminal matters since 2019. And other than the last 3, which I've now filed a writ of certiorari in the Supreme Court for the 12th of December, 12th of January next year, I have been found not guilty, or they withdrew all those charges. So that's 13 charges that prosecution have brought against me that had no founding. And what I worked out is the first case in 2019, after finding this amazing judgment by Irony Justice Crowley, who's the justice in my Legal Service Commissioner case, I didn't even get a committal hearing at all. So we've got this situation in the lower courts where they seem to be doing whatever they want. The media jumps in there, they write all these articles, sensationalize it, and the minute it's dropped, you don't hear about it anymore. There's no apologies for their false reporting. In Jessica's case, HZX, the magistrate and prosecution, as far as I know, no one's done anything about it, even though the judgment says that. And you just have to wonder, in all these criminal cases where these reporters who have no understanding of the criminal justice system, none, because they are not lawyers, how they can be actually reporting on something if they actually do not understand the process of the court.
Yeah.
They pick a line here and they pick a line here, and then they sensationalize it, and they're allowed to.
Yeah, that's disturbing, especially since pretty much all the newspapers are owned by Murdoch Media these days. Then there's no alternative balance outside of that. You've got the gay BC, which, you know, more interested in, you know, indoctrinating people with leftist ideologies than anything. You know, they're certainly not going to fact check Murdoch Media. They should. If they, you know, that's our taxpayer money at work there, and it's certainly not working for us, that's for sure. You know, which leaves it up to us, the alternative media, to go through and point out that these people couldn't organise a piss on in a brewery.
Well, the whole thing is meant to be in public interest, whatever that means, and I'm not going to go down the deep dive on public. But in general, what we perceive to be public interest is the reason they can publish it, because it is in public interest. What is public interest? So, i.e., in my case, this brochure that I've been banned, interim ban, to use that brochure. Not allowed to use it, not allowed to advertise it. They have put it in the paper now at least 5 times. When I
so they're advertising for you. You're not allowed to use it, but they are. Okay.
Third party. And from what I can look at the views, it's probably reached 2.5 million views just on an average of what the Courier Mail, Daily Mercury, Chronicle, and all the aggregate sites that they have, online portals and what have you. It's probably reached 2.5, and I'm not advertising that, by the way. That is from the Courier Mail. Yeah, and so if this was of public interest, and the Commissioner was so concerned that the public was being harmed, which is one of the elements of an injunction, what harm it's causing, why didn't they prohibit that publication? Instead, I'm not allowed to do it, but the Courier Mail has now run this at least 5 times, and it's available any click of the button. If you want to go and have a look, you can find it. You can type in my name and it comes straight up on a Google search. So consequently, because of that, because I'm fairly easily found, I have people ring me all the time. I had a guy ring me this morning telling me I don't know what I'm talking about, and the impersonation, and he's got the cops, you know, being investigated because they impersonated his name on his driver's license, and under section, you know, 355 of the criminal code, I'm going to take them. And I'm like, so you're using legislation, but you're saying that you don't agree with it at the same time. So I'm getting these fruitcakes actually ringing me up and, you know, contact me on Facebook. And I don't like to be rude, but in the end, you know, this is what's promoted it.
Yeah.
So I can't be too dangerous if they're allowed it to be publicly. You know, what was that article? Mad, bad, and dangerous in the Herald Sun.
Yes, we had that one a while ago. I haven't got that one prepared today. Sorry. I might be able to dig it up though.
Yeah. So when you have an injunction, you've got some elements, from what I understand, and that's obviously public interest. You've got what harm have you caused? Well, I haven't caused any harm. In fact, the Courier Mail is now causing the harm, and the commissioner for not prohibiting that very thing I'm not allowed to do. A third party can now put out 2 million of people.
Yeah.
And then you have a thing called the balance of convenience, which is which party is going to be harmed more by bringing in an injunction. And the amount of media and the amount of slander and the amount of sensationalized headlines and false headlines, the balance of convenience now has got to a point that's actually quite dangerous. My reputation, if I didn't have an outlet like you that I can express myself and explain the situation, you kind of sit there and go, you know, people are believing this. That actually, you know, like spit case, my whole point about what I'm fighting for is the words spitting and biting, the word spitting and biting, the word spitting and biting were removed from the particulars.
But they continuously drag it up because it's the only thing they've got.
That's right. But that's so the writ of certiorari that I've filed is to override a lower court's decision, and that's in regards to a jurisdictional error, and that's what I'm fighting. And the prosecution, as far as I'm concerned, they know it. It's black and white on court documents, black and white on police documents, and they're not doing anything about it. So I actually, when I had my judicial review the other day, this said principal prosecutor turns up all on her own to sit in my case. So I wrote a letter questioning what she was doing there. And then she wrote this off the hip email back saying, dear colleagues, I will not accept anything on behalf of the commissioner, like she's the commissioner and she can speak on behalf of the commissioner, and that she will not have any further information like that sent to her office. I'm not her colleague. So I just went, she said she had no further interest in any of my matters. So I went back and said, well, it begs the question of what you were doing sitting alone in the gallery watching my matters the other day. That's borderline stalking.
Certainly seems to be. So did we want to dive into these articles at all? Because I managed to get some of them up. We've got the Heidi Ward loses appeal and Whitsunday businesswoman, Heidi Ward, as well. So that's May. That's 2021. Here. So these are this is the recent one.
So that's the one I won in under 12 minutes. Yeah.
So where do you want to start there? Do you want to start in 2021? Or do you want to start?
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, you can see there's a very different sort of a look to this here. They've chosen a relatively nice photo as opposed to the ones they choose these days. You know, the only reason justice prevailed is because of my determination for truth. Wow. That's an interesting thing to put in there. Sunday businesswoman Heidi Ward has been cleared of assault allegations after jury found her not guilty. Cool.
In under 12
but
minutes.
She court judge has labelled an assault case against the Whitsunday businesswoman and former council candidate as one of the most trivial he's come across in 3 decades, as a jury took 12 minutes to find her not guilty. There we go. Reported by them themselves. Judge Brad Farr questioned why the Director of Public Prosecutions had allowed it to run as a jury trial, labelling it as extraordinary. Heidi Ward had been charged with assault following an alleged incident in December 1st of December 2019. The only reason justice prevailed is because of my sheer determination for truth, said Miss Ward. I burst into tears. I was so proud of myself.
Yep, that went for 2.5 years. That had 43 appearances before the court. And that's the one that I'm saying now. I never even had a committal hearing. which before it gets to the next court, you have a little mini hearing called a committal hearing. And I didn't have it, hence it's probably the most trivial. So behind the scenes, that must have been mortally embarrassing for Magistrate Morton who did that. And I find out now 3 years later, yesterday, that Magistrate Morton was the same person that disallowed me to have a jury on this occasion when I was entitled to one. As far as I'm concerned. So potentially they saw me walk in, well, we're not going to do that again. No, you're not doing that. And that's what's in the writ of certiorari, because I was entitled to a jury. That's why they removed the word spitting and biting to allow it to continue in a summary jurisdiction. However, for 2.6 years, they had aggravated elements on it, which allowed me to have a jury, as far as I'm aware. So, yeah, so that was a good article after so many articles before it. And then they go on with my compensation that I sued the state of Queensland and what have you. So there's another bunch of articles about that.
So, yeah, I mean, you think, wow, that's proper reporting when they've actually reported what's happened as opposed to throwing in all their biased bullshit. But then we cut to here and we're going, wow, look at the difference in the photo selection.
I know.
Wow. Says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, what that the picture is 1,000 words, and we're going to use the picture we want to paint the picture we want. You know, it's very interesting. I'm assuming it's not written by the same person, of course. You know, and it's important that these are, you know, News Corp people. They're all Rupert Murdoch's little puppets, and you know, I wouldn't encourage people to buy this kind of journalism because you're just handing money overseas to Rupert Murdoch, which is again, you know, it's something we should really be looking into in this country. You know, why don't Australians own our media? Why is it being owned by a foreign company? Everybody hates America so much at the moment. Why? And again, here's another, they're using that legal advocate thing and giving your the email address out for people. It's ridiculous.
And so I even specifically said to them, you've had your fun now with the photos. Like literally, clearly it's unflattering. Clearly you're repeatedly using the same image, right? They're the same. So that's actually from walking out of court the day with Jessica Hanbury. And the other one that you'll see in a minute, I actually have dry shampoo in my hair because someone else had an issue and I ran to the court to see if I could help them. To support them, and they continually use that one too. So it's just it's so obvious is the point.
Well, it's very interesting because back here they're bringing up, you know, that you're a businesswoman and that you've run for Division 2 as a counsellor and all that. Here, Queensland mum.
Oh yeah, they keep bringing the mum in. My son's 27. Like
as if being a Queensland mum is a horrible thing.
I'm actually a grandmother, so yeah, whatever.
Wow, there you go. So it's just I find it interesting, you know, where they've given you, you know, business and council credentials 4 years ago, and now she's just a mum. You know, as if that's a horrible thing. You know, like again, you got to wonder about the kind of woman. Who I'm guessing Vanda Carson is a woman. It sounds like a woman's name.
There's all different ones. There's that many of them.
I'm assuming the gender here. You know, I might get in trouble from Lamestream for assuming gender, but you think she might have a little bit more respect for mums, you know, if she is indeed a woman or identifies as one. Who knows with these kind of people? They're probably, you know, rather quasi with their own freaking sexes, really. Anyway, in their decision handed down on the September 15th, Court Appeal declined to give Heidi Ward an extension of time to apply to overturn last year's Supreme Court order granting an interim injunction banning her from holding herself out as a lawyer in Queensland or working as a lawyer. And as you've stated, you know, legal advocate was the word.
Go to the bottom of that brochure. It says, I am not a lawyer. Down further.
In the article itself.
It should be on the brochure there somewhere. Anyway, it's clear as a bell. Even Justice Crowley said, it says on here, she's not a lawyer.
I think they've specifically cut that point out because you can see after 22 months on dirt. So they've purposely cut that out because it goes against their bullshit narrative. So, you know, and that's, again, it's these fine details you want to look out for, ladies and gentlemen, reading this horrific excuse for media, is where you can see they've completely cut something out. And you see it with the video news as well, where they'll cut someone mid-sentence so that you don't get the full context of what they're trying to say, you know, because that would actually fuck up their narrative. You know, they are such manipulative people. You know, they like.
I've even offered to talk to them. They won't talk to me. So where they used to try and hold a microphone to my face, now literally they put their back, and it's this. I can't explain it precisely, but it's a squirmy kind of a whatever, we don't care. And I said to them, oh, don't worry, just wreck someone's life. Let's just sensationalize the articles. And my partner Mick goes, oh, job well done. And I'm like, yeah, you're amazing, you guys. And you know they're uncomfortable with what they're doing, but they do it regardless.
Yeah, which shows a real lack of moral integrity and decency in their character, you know. So I mean, obviously it's a case of having to return the favor and pointing out that people like Vander Carson are utterly shit journalists and have no moral integrity. You know, let's return the favor. You know, maybe we can maybe we should start walking after them and taking photos all the time whenever they're trying to work. I noticed they really hate that when you shove a camera in their face and treat them the way they treat you. So I highly recommend that, ladies and gentlemen. If ever you're dealing with the mainstream media, instantly pull out your phone, stick a camera in their fucking face and treat them the way they treat you.
Well, we did it recently in Jessica's, recently, not long ago, in Jessica's case, and they're actually running up and they're barging you and pushing you. And I just went, stop. Someone's going to get hurt here. You're really provoking something here. And they're like, the headlines were, oh, Heidi claims someone's going to get hurt. So I went into the court and I went into the registry and I said, under workplace health and safety, they're actually on the court, circumference of the court. So it's your workplace health and safety. And they're actually creating a serious problem. So we actually said, turn around and let's go. And I think there was about 15 of us that started filming them and walking towards them. And you're right, they just took off. The reporter looked like she was about to burst into tears. And, they don't like it at all.
Yeah. That's it. Just start barraging them with questions and shoving cameras in their face. Because, they think they have some kind of power. But guess what? We have the same power.
Yeah. So basically it doesn't, it's, you know, like the legal imposter, the quasi lawyer. Not once has anyone come and actually said, would you like to say your version of the story?
That would be fair and balanced reporting. And obviously people like Vander Carlson are incapable of such things.
Yep. Well, they're not allowed to.
Well, that too, you know, again, where's your moralistic integrity? You know, there's many a time I've walked away from a job because I found that, you know, the garbage we were producing, and the mainstream media was one of those jobs, you know, the garbage we were producing was not within my moral bounds. I could not continue in that job with what they were doing. It was disgusting. I would never, ever work for them again. Wouldn't matter how much they offered me. I would never work for the mainstream media again after what I've experienced. They're fucking shit. Utter shit.
And it will be interesting.
To the extent that I will quote reporters as saying, I wouldn't watch this shit. Reporters actually said that. They would not watch the own shit that they produce. They themselves don't even like it. But hey, it's a job. Just another shit job with shit pay, shit work conditions, and you're producing garbage as if you were a Chinaman in a Chinese factory wearing Chinese work boots. Sips to that.
Sips to that. But I guess that's the way I can overcome it. But it's really interesting. A friend of mine the other day, she said something that someone locally had shared one of these articles onto her page. And, you know, I just thought you should know, you know, the gossip mongers are out and, you know, appreciate it. And so I contacted this individual and I said, if you'd like to know the full story, before you, it's a lady that we used to contract when we had a wedding business, and I just said, you would never have heard me gossip about anybody. Yes, I'm controversial. Yes, I'll challenge things, but I don't hop on the gravy train with gossip. So if you want to know what happened, give me a call. And, you know, there was sarcastic laughing faces and things like that, until eventually it was like being in a, you know, courtroom. I got her and she's like, well, why is the media saying all this about you? And I'm just like, you know, why?
Clearly
Is the
no
question.
idea what
Yeah.
the media is really about.
Yeah. So, you know, we went through it all with COVID. We know this, you know, we went through the hypocrisy of the media at that time.
Yeah. And it's coming out pretty strongly too now that how hard the mainstream media have gotten everything wrong. I was just seeing here actually in can I get this to come up in some way? It's try and find the actual article. I've got an email here. I just don't want to bring up my whole email. But it's how the CDC changes website. So I might just can I just copy that article somehow? Sorry, I'll just read it out. Fuck it, and I'll bring it up in the background later. But the claim, the key points: the claim vaccines do not cause autism, in quotation marks, vaccines do not cause autism, is not evidence-based claim because studies have not ruled out the possibilities that infant vaccines cause autism. That's coming from the CDC website. Studies supporting a link have been ignored by health authorities. HHS has launched a comprehensive assessment of the causes of autism, including investigations on plausible biological mechanisms and potential causal links. So this is not just, you know, the spicy needle, as you know, my good friend Robin would call it. You know, this is vaccines in general. That is now coming out on the CDC website in America. Amazing. You know, we've got articles, bombshell, the CDC has updated its autism on vaccines page, you know, from various other people. I think Russell Brand has even done something on it.
Yeah, I just read the book about it. Interesting. Like if you actually see the stats on it all. But I saw something from Western Australia that said, oh, they got it wrong. Only 10% of people actually got COVID, and blah, blah, blah. So that actually, it's the same as what I'm saying is through that court case, it was, you know, right before the election for the council, I'm like, I assaulted a bouncer. I did all these things. Of course, my mug was on every corflutes on the front lawn. And the minute I won, that article you just showed was like, oh, she's great. Look, she's this, she's that. So we're really interested to see if I am successful in overturning that, because I'm not stopping, because it's black and white to overturn these charges. And if I've won 13 out of 16, I've got the average is definitely on my side. You watch the change, and I have written to them and I said, every article you have written has been saved. I've got it all. And there will be one big defamation case on you at the end. The last letter I sent in relation to the last article, it was a lengthy letter, and it's the first time I have not had a response from them. As in, normally they say, no, that's not going to happen. No, we're not going to apologise. This time is the first time ever that News Corp legal team have not responded to my letter.
Oh, wow. So they now they're taking it seriously, perhaps. But yeah, there's for those who are interested, that's the information, as you can see, straight from the CDC website, an official website of the United States government, you know, and there's the key points laid out there. So, you know, by all means, go over to the CDC webpage and check that, you know, fact check it yourself. Don't trust me. Don't trust anyone. Trust yourself. Go and have a look. So, you know, I'm not saying it. The CDC is saying it.
Well, if only 10% of the cases, which was the news article, was actually broadcast, were the case in Western Australia, how does that compare to the vaccine injuries? If only 10% were actually real, what's the percentage of people that have vaccine injuries? Is it over 10%? That'd be a concern.
I think in this case, we are going to find the medicine was most assuredly worse than the disease. You know, I have no doubt in my mind. That's my personal opinion. You know, I will state that that's just strictly opinion, you know, but that's based on everything that I've seen. You know, I don't know anybody who became deathly ill or, you know, even, you know, partially sick from this alleged COVID. You know, people say they got, you know, they felt sick and all that, but I've heard the same people say the same thing about the flu too. So I don't really see a big difference between having caught COVID and having, you know, the flu, other than those who, you know, for instance, I got jabbed 3 times, I got COVID 3 times, and I'm so glad I got those jabs because it could have been so much worse. I'm like, but I didn't get jabbed at all. I never caught COVID. Have you thought about that? Oh, I've heard of that, as they say. Well, I've heard of that. So it never occurred to you that you got COVID because they injected it in you, perhaps? Just a thought. I'm saying it is, but it's an idea.
Yeah, and the narratives change if you talk about it now. Oh, I had to get it because I had to get it because I had to keep the job. No, I was forced to get it. No, I wouldn't have it again now. And you know, particularly the older people, they're actually speaking up. Well, what were we supposed to do? But you know, I spoke to someone 2 days ago that had gone to 3 funerals in 1 week, all sudden deaths.
Yeah. It's amazing.
So,
yeah. And again, where's the mainstream media? Where's the mainstream media on the calamari? They're pulling out of people's blood veins and arteries and things, you know, like it's insane. Like in a journalistic integrity, a world of journalistic integrity, that should have been all over the mainstream media, you know, but no. They're more interesting and being more like Joseph Goebbels, which I think is a very important point to make at this point, because they keep doing the same thing to you. If you repeat a lie often enough, people will believe it, and you will even come to believe it yourself. And I think that's the scary part. You will even come to believe it yourself. That's where the mainstream media are at. They actually believe their own bullshit, in my experience. You know, they are so fucking brainwashed by fucking propaganda that they've caught from their university degrees and God knows how long of, you know, manipulation in the socialist indoctrination centers in themselves, that they actually believe their own bullshit that they're putting out.
Well, this is the case with the legal eagles. You know, they have to be sworn in to the Bar Association or the whatever it is. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole now, but you have to be a legal professional. So you have to pay an annual fee to be part of an association, to be part of that, to be regulated. And you can charge, you know, $600 an hour, whatever it is that you want to charge. And apparently that's reasonable. And, you know, no one else is allowed to know the law or speak up or educate or otherwise without actually, with what's happening to me, happening. So really, if we're not taught the law and they change it constantly, how does the average person actually know the law?
You're not supposed to, obviously. That's why they don't teach it. That's why they're not teaching the Constitution. You know, like that should be the base thing. You know, and that's what I love about you know, Rod Cullerton and the Great Australia Party's sort of push is to teach the Constitution. That should be stuff that you're being taught in primary school. You know, get people to understand what the basis of law is. It's the binding law for everything in this country. Why are we not being taught it? I mean, it's amazing how many people you walk up to in the street, and I've done this. Like I was there at a, you know, when I was training martial arts years ago, I sat there at a barbecue at Christmas, and you're going, "Hey, can anybody tell me what any of your rights are?" And the deafening silence was astounding. Like, so we're all here, we're all martial artists. You know, we're supposed to be as you mob constantly try and tell everyone we're the pillars of the community, and we're, you know, this, that, and the other, and how amazing we all are because we're martial artists, but you don't even know your rights.
But then it comes to the crux of it, which is the conundrum. So when you go to a lawyer, i.e., they go, rightio, first consult, $500, whatever it might be, tell the story, and they go, that's fine. All right, we'll give you an overview. All right, so here's your options. So 1, plead guilty. You know, we'll plead it out. We'll get a low conviction for you. We'll, you know, get some, you know, some references that someone said that you're great. When has anyone seen a bad reference? Do you know what I mean? Because they're not going to put in a bad reference, right? They're only going to get people that see one side of it. And then we're going to try and manipulate that. We're going to bring it down to the lowest possible. Or if you want to fight it, you can fight it. These are the options to fight. We could fight from this angle, or we could fight for this angle. Well, I'm not guilty. I'm not pleading guilty. I want to fight it. Well, that's great. Could you put $30,000 in our trust account and potentially it's going to be 50 by the time we get to trial? And then they walk into court and they say our client has instructed us.
Yeah.
So to put yourself out to be a lawyer, wouldn't you need a contract? Yes, you can represent me. Yes, I'm going to take your advice. Otherwise, someone, you know, you can't fart to help somebody by standing next to them in court without being potentially charged. You can't get someone out of jail for using the court forms that are provided online for you to see and know how to use. The court forms aren't there just for lawyers. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to see them.
Yeah.
The legislation is online for us to read. But if you say, hey, Mark, do you know section 355 of the criminal code, or, you know, whatever is blah, blah, blah. You could use that in your court case. All of a sudden now you're giving someone legal advice.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
the lawyer system, I think, is definitely needs some work. That's for sure. And especially if they're going to accept such large sums of money and claim that they represent you, and then walk in the court and say our client has instructed us. So again, like, where's the repercussions for them doing their job?
None, because there's only one winner, one loser. So someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. There's no tie in a court case. So it's who's the liable party? Insurance, right? So you could give, i.e., I could give this lawyer, I'm sure they're brilliant, whatever. They helped me when I had my raid for all of 6 minutes, but $120,000 and they lose, let's say.
Yeah. What have
You're
you got?
Not just liable for the $120,000, you now are up for costs for the other party as well. So you $240,000, which is now $500,000. When they turn around and say owning your home is, you know, a dream.
Yeah. Well, it is a bit of a dream, actually. That's another point, though, because let's face it, we don't own shit. It's more like we're allowed to lease it off the Crown, and the Crown is the government. But anyway, that's another story, which has been covered many times here. So you can go back to the previous podcast and have a look at that. But yeah, our whole society is fucked. Let's just put it out there. Straight up, it's all fucked. It's all wrong. And I've felt it ever since I was a kid. I remember sitting there and I'm watching Disney's fucking Robin Hood, you know, run through and get rid of taxation, only to find out that he never really did. I'm like, what? But you know, the little fox, he fucking sorted out Prince John, and you know, King Richard came back and fucking sorted out the taxes. What's this taxes shit you're talking about, Mum and Dad? What? You mean I've got to go to work and then give it to the government? What?
And then Ned Kelly,
that's like fucking little Batty, just a kid going, what the fuck is wrong with this world? What the fuck?
But then you've got Ned Kelly, who, whilst the story is the story, he's seen as an Australian icon. Bushranger Ned Kelly.
Yep.
So maybe
you can't name the coppers he shot, but you can name Ned Kelly.
Right? So this is Desi Freeman going to be the next Ned Kelly?
You got to wonder, you know. I don't. I mean, given the history of this country, we do seem to side with the rebel more than we do the authority, because the authority 9 times out of 10 are doing the wrong bloody thing.
Well, you have to also wonder, this show is an exhibit in my injunction.
Yeah.
They haven't got, like, can you imagine the court? I think that one was with Daryl and Darren, and it goes through about 2.5 hours. It was one of the really long ones we did. Can you imagine having to sit through that in court?
Oh, I doubt they're going to play the whole thing, but truth, I'll turn up. I'm happy to turn up, watch myself be played in court for 2.5 hours. I'd get a kick out of that, you know. I mean, there's a certain amount of self-indulgence involved there, but, you know, it's mostly amusement factor.
Well, I've got a strikeout application on the 1st of December in Brisbane. It starts at 10 o'clock in regards to all the professors writing articles, all this media, false advertising, the brochure, amongst multiple other things. And, I got a response from the commissioner the other day, and I'm not going to go into detail of what it is, but basically they actually wrote to the registrar and sought that my it get disposed of due to my attitude.
What?
Yes. So I brought a strikeout application previously, and that's when I filmed myself and put it on Facebook. So I was banned from appearing by telephone in the courts because that was really apparently naughty, even though it was my own case and me in it. No one else.
And I thought
right?
the courts were for the public. I thought it was all public information because, you know, we're supposed to have faith and trust in the system, and we should be allowed to see it happening.
So I was banned, and then I did call into a chorus call and make a bit of a fuffle, which I could. Anyway, so I was banned from turning up. So I wasn't going to spend $4,000 at that time with the flights and everything to go to Brisbane just to hear something like that. So that was adjourned by the court, not me. Anyway, I actually forgot about it. It was a genuine mistake, and I've raised a separate one with separate issues. And now they've actually contacted the court and asked for it to be heard at the same time for convenience and cost. It's not up to them to tell the court when I want to hear my application. So I went back and said, in complete honesty, look, I forgot about it. Given the circumstances, I've got a lot on. I'll be withdrawing that application, so we don't have to worry about it. And then they came back and said, well, both should be withdrawn given Miss Ward's attitude. Actually said attitude.
Wow.
So
I didn't realize attitude. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Skyhawk said that attitude wasn't a bad, dirty word, you know, like, but apparently the courts are saying that the Skyhawks are wrong.
I don't know about the Skyhawks.
Oh, no, that was ego. That's right. Ego. Same sort of thing, isn't it? Ego is not a dirty word. Sorry, I got that completely wrong. But
I'll be filing a withdrawal this week. That's all it was. Sorry about that. I forgot about it. I'll file a withdrawal. There was no intention. There was no game playing. There was nothing. And I have to wonder, and I could be wrong, how that has triggered. And what I'm noticing with these, what you said earlier, indoctrinated people who only know how to see the box this way.
Yeah.
They use the same tactics, they use the same gameplay, they use the same, and when anyone challenges them outside of that, and that could be potentially because we don't know another way if you're not indoctrinated.
Yeah.
How they think, you see this knee-jerk reaction and very very quick to react, and there comes a slight bit of slander, like the principal prosecutor saying, dear colleagues, I'm not going to accept this on behalf of the commission. Don't contact the office again. Her attitude. So it starts drifting into the, you're not one of us.
Yeah, we don't like you.
Yeah.
It's I thought we were here to discuss the facts, not people's attitudes. Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, it'd be different if you're in the courtroom screaming, carrying on, and being a complete pain in the butt, you know. But when it's just a general grievance where you express how you feel. Why can't you do that?
Yeah. So I've really gone back and said, to be clear, my attitude related solely to a lawful intention to withdraw my application. You're now showing bias under the Australian Solicitor Conduct Rules. You're not allowed to do this. I don't think they're used to somebody sort of saying, hang on a minute, this is what it says. I can Google this. You don't have the statutory power to be calling me names in this situation.
Exactly. And exactly now, whose attitude's out of order?
Yeah, put yourself in 300 newspaper articles being called all sorts of names and then see how your attitude is.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Knowing that people are gossiping, and you just got to take it as you roll,
All I see when we come to these sort of conclusions, hang on, I'll hit the right button.
And it's not just about
old Eric Cartman.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the image that comes to mind.
You're such a superheroes fan, aren't you?
Oh, whatever you can use, really. I guess it's easy to grip onto those sorts of things.
Yeah. So anyway, it's the whole narrative, and where do we as lay people, stand up? And I used an analogy in a document the other day, Edmer versus Commissioner, whatever. Anyway, there's a precedent where they use the lay person, the average Joe, lay person, to establish if a lay person was to see apprehended bias. That's the benchmark that they use. So if apprehended bias was seen, i.e. from a jury, 12 ordinary people from the public, they're allowed to make that decision. What does the lay person think about the amount of money that lawyers cost?
Wow. As one myself, I have to, not a lawyer, a lay person, that is, ridiculous, insane. I get it. They're performing a service and a job and all that, but I think the amount of money that they get is beyond a joke. Justice shouldn't cost money.
Well, considering
it would be the quickest way to sum it up.
Yeah. The considering the way it actually affects, if you've spoken to anyone that's been through the system, how it really affects them. Maybe we should have a Medicare card for the courts.
Yeah.
Because I don't think a doctor gets $588 an hour.
Depends on the doctor, I guess. And, again, there's that qualifications thing. And again, it comes down to, shouldn't all healthcare be, accessible, and affordable to everybody as well? We're supposed to be in this wonderful, free and civilized society, but I'm struggling to see that. All I see is economic oppression at every turn.
Which is labelled economic growth. Which
is it? It's truth. I'm not seeing any economic growth at this end of the fucking branch. Everything's dead and dying. It's like it's a constant state of autumn. If we were to put economic growth into a perpetual tree sort of thing, the tree of life is dying. The leaves keep falling off, and there's a bit of a sickness running through this fucking tree.
Well, that's where if you go into any council portal, 77 councils in Queensland, there's all these new strategic plans, and it's all to do with economic growth and this and that and the other thing, and they're using the same, freedom pathways or, smart cities. They're using all the same terminology.
Yeah.
And which
is like a pack of greenies running around gluing on plastic leaves and plastic branches and trying to tell me, look at the growth.
But yeah, that's right. What is the growth when rent's gone up, food's gone up, roads are in disrepair, there's congestion, there's blah, 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 blah. I got a phone call the other day from Amanda Cam's office, who's the MP for this region. And she was just a little survey girl going, is there anything you'd like to talk about in your region? And I said, well, how long have you got? And my first question was, Amanda Cam is the Minister for Domestic Violence and Child Safety. Could you tell me what degree, profession, studies, life skills that she has to hold that position? None.
Yep.
And it was all about saving money for the region. And I said, well, maybe that's a place to start. Let's put someone in that actually has the education or life skills to understand the position just getting paid for.
Yeah.
Is that confusing?
Apparently. Yeah, 'cause everybody keeps voting the biggest dumbass in the fucking universe in these days. It's like, I mean, Albo's the perfect example of it. You see his latest fucking X post. I looked at him the other day. I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. Like, here, I'm gonna bring this up just because it's fucking hilarious. Just exit that for a second. And like every time I see the bloody twat. Sorry, wrong picture. Grab this one again.
It gets you all unnerved, doesn't it?
Oh, it makes you feel ill. It's like, look at him. Look at this clown. It's like the handicapped kid who just got given a new toy. He's all doubled over and everything. It's just, that's the leader? Who the fuck voted for that idiot? Just look at him.
Can you imagine being stuck on an island with him?
Oh, God. The only contribution he could make to humanity would be if you ate him. The only contribution he could make. And he'd probably be a really shit feed too. It tastes like shit.
Oh, Mark, I'm not going to go into cannibalism myself personally, but
I'd have to be pretty fucking hungry, I must say.
Yeah, I think you would have to be, but it's kind of like if you take the bush kid into the city into the bush, it's a very different world, and it's like the average self-represented litigant getting in front of, I was in court the other day and they literally had the red coats outfit on, the big peaked collar, shoulder pads with big sash, and they're all sitting there with their stupid wigs on. And I'm just sitting there going, can these people actually see themselves? Like, to me, being country, I'm looking at them going,
it's like a drag queen show in a sense. It's
smelly, smelly wigs that you're touching, throwing on the table, picking it up. Literally, they look ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And do any of them question why they have to wear it?
I doubt it. And there's probably a whole bunch of, Masonic and weird ass fucking reasons to go along with a lot of that sort of shit show.
They could say, it's to identify their level, whether they're a, barrister or a solicitor or a lawyer. And usually the barristers are the ones wearing the paraphernalia. But then you have the long ones and then you have the short ones with the rat's tail. And it's just, I just sit there in the costumes and it all means
costumes
something.
Is exactly the right term for it, And
it is a costume.
I mean, it just takes me to this kind of era, It's like, talk about stuck into the past, Like this is the kind of that, the whining and dining style.
It's like when they have an appeal, they come in black with the purple sash. A sentencing, they're wearing literally the red coats from, the Battle of Culloden, in there. And there's all the meaning to it. It absolutely means something. And then all of a sudden you get to me and they just wear their shirt and their trousers. I'm obviously not important enough.
Can't afford the fancy dress, And again, when you look at the history books, they show you those ridiculous outfits and whatnot. And then you sit there and you think to yourself, like, but how big of the percentage of the population could actually afford to dress like a fucking peacock? I instantly go back to fucking what is it? Highlander, Christopher Lambert calling us the movie Highlander, do you? One of my favorites.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and he calls him a Spanish peacock because of the way he's dressed. I'm like, that's perfect. You know, old mate, he's running around with the old bloody claymore from Scotland and all that, and the kilt and all that shit. And old mate dresses up like a Spanish peacock. I'm like, it's perfect, and that's what we're dealing with here. These people who want to get into fancy dress and play roles, and the idea of actors, and it all just works. The world is a stage and all this shit, like they're telling you straight up. It's just a fucking shit show.
Oh, I think I've mentioned this once before, just on a joke. I was waiting for the judge to come in, and I was up against a barrister, and he's got his hat on, and I did pinch it from Rake, the miniseries. And I just said, mate, you got a dead cat on your head. And he started laughing, right? And I said, you look ridiculous. And so, because he was in a country court, I just said, you look ridiculous. And he was really nice. He was actually a really nice guy. And anyway, I said, oh, look at us sitting here. I said, what do you reckon up there about the lion and the unicorn, the coat of arms? He goes, oh, well, the lion represents Queensland. Whether it does or doesn't,
Really?
or what that's what he said.
I thought it was supposed to represent England and the mighty empire and all that. But okay, rightio.
You go down a rabbit hole there with that, so I'm not going to go into that. But I just looked at him. And I said,
maybe, and here's a really out there one. Maybe it represents the lion race of aliens, and that we can bring in the face on Mars, and let's go fully extreme into weird ass ideas.
Well, I just said to him, "Have you seen any lions in Queensland?" And he started laughing, and I said, now let's get to the unicorn. The unicorn, I said, fancy coming to work every day and sitting under a unicorn or looking at a unicorn. Like, it's a unicorn.
Yeah.
And again, I was keeping it humorous. It wasn't down the rabbit hole to what the crests all mean and whatever. And he looked at me and he goes, maybe it's magic. And I said, is that why we've been summoned to court? And then the judge came in. But he was pretty
Cast
good.
all that spelling with all these words written on paper. There's your almanac.
Yeah. So
can't make this stuff up. They've already done it.
Yeah, you can't. And it gets when we're talking about really the misrepresentation of everything. So we've got misrepresentation on the news. We've got it in the media. We've got it in the court system. We've got it everywhere we're looking. And it's really not until you're actually in a position where you go, you know what? These actors, these people wearing costumes and doing this, they're actually in charge of my life.
Yeah.
And
it's fucking ridiculous, isn't it? And then they tell you that you're free.
Yeah. And they can change legislation whenever they want by the sounds of things. They do whatever they want. And we've gotten to a point, there's that many MPs, there's that many ministers, there's that many positions inside government, Parliament House. I don't think anyone knows what's going on anymore.
It's just a big shit show. Okay, how fast can I get my nose into that trough? And there's layers of troughs. Oh, just the trough over there looks much better. I want to get into that. What stupid outfit do I have to put on?
Oh,
what other bullshit do I have to tell the general public?
Yep, I have to do 4 years, and then I get a pension forever. That's great. They don't realise they're bound to an oath moving forward. Imagine running for council or mayor and refusing to sign the actual contract that they give you. You can't speak about this, you can't do this, you can't do that, when you weren't informed about it before you signed up.
It's a fair point. I don't believe they get you to sign those private and confidentiality friggin' non-disclosure agreements until you've won, as if that somehow came with the people themselves decided, you know what, the first thing I want my elected representative to do is be gagged. Yep, that's what we want. That's what the people want. We want you all to shut the fuck up and tell us nothing so we can be pissed off for another 4 years while we wait to elect you out and put another fucking useless twat in to do the same fucking thing.
From my understanding, it actually happens at like the announcement, the public announcement, where the mayor actually signs that I'm now mayor. I don't know that for sure. But yeah, and basically you can't speak up. And I do know this from a previous mayor in a previous situation. I'm not going to say who it is. And I did mention that I thought that to be the case. And they saw it. They went ahead and signed it. And in the end, when they wanted to speak out, there was some pretty heavy-handed stuff went down, and that individual's now going, oh, but I had to do this. They were going to send me to jail, but I had to do that. You know, that's why I didn't run again. When in actual fact, they knew the entire time. Couldn't say no.
Rocking a hard place, eh?
Oh, imagine running for mayor, hypothetically. Let me run for mayor. The first thing I'm going to do is remove dog and cat registration, because we're not going to penalise you for being a bad dog owner. You'd win outright. That's all you'd have to do.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm not going to sign a non-disclosure. I'm going to be completely transparent to you. And if, you know, I'm forced to do that, I'll have to resign. There's my word to you as the general public.
That would be an interesting one, actually. Imagine winning the entire council with a bunch of independents, and then they all resign straight away because they wouldn't sign the gag order.
Sounds like a bit of a good plan, doesn't it?
Sounds like a fucking great idea. When do we do it, Heidi?
The next election.
I think it's a wonderful idea. How's that for entertainment, ladies and gentlemen? Who wants to join us in the shit show? We're going to wear fancy wigs. We're going to, you know, do all sorts of crazy, stupid shit. I honestly think it's the only way to win. To be the most ridiculous and stir the pot of the mainstream media so much they have no choice but to talk about us, because they want to anyway. They obviously do. They steal shit from my show all the time because they're so desperate to talk about me. You know, they haven't got the balls to come up and talk to me. They're like a really shit fake fan. You know, like they've got all your pictures all over the walls of their bedrooms and shit, but they're too afraid to talk to you when they actually see you. I think that's the mainstream media at the moment. Like they really are just fanboying the fuck out of us.
Yeah, but just think about it, you know, like, because the LGAQ runs the back end of all the councils. If a bunch of like-minded people actually stood up and actually said, you know, because you have to put a policy forward in order for people to vote for you. So, you know, you see constantly, oh, we're going to reduce the rates. We're going to try and do this. We're going to hold the council accountable. We're going to do this, that. And when they get in there, they realise at no point did they ever have the power to even put that out as a policy.
Yep. And nobody even took the time to say, why are you campaigning that way? You can't do that.
You can't do it. I had an ex-mayor when I was running for council actually told me to tell the community that I will drop the rates. And I said, well, I can't. How would I? And he said, just say it because that'll get your votes. And I said, I'm not saying.
Just lie. We all do it. Come on.
So I think definitely there is potential. Like the Fitzgerald inquiry, as I recall, you know, there were bikie gangs that actually infiltrated police, and a lot of them stayed on to be police officers, but they went in there and basically infiltrated to weed out the bad guys until it all changed again.
The bikies infiltrated the coppers to infiltrate the bad guys, to get rid of the bad guys.
Yep. It's in the Fitzgerald inquiry, so it's a fascinating situation, and a lot of them went on to be.
You've got to send me the documents for that. I need that. That's a podcast to itself.
It's a very big book. It's about that thick.
Oh wow. Well, we'll have to condense it.
Yeah. But it's interesting. In the end of the Fitzgerald inquiry, there was a judge called Judge Vasta, and he refused to be interviewed by Mr. Fitzgerald, and that's the Stratford versus Vasta case, which is where a judge got, prosecuted by an individual, and it's gone to the High Court, and it's actually part of my case in both my Legal Service Commissioner case and the criminal matters in regards to the writ of certiorari. So basically, I'm using my own Queensland precedent of the writ of certiorari in my own certiorari application, using the judges that are actually in front of me right now. You couldn't read about it. It's their judgments. So there's one called Qua versus Privatera, and it talks about the committal hearings and how that's supposed to work, which hasn't happened in my criminal case. And that judgment was done by Justice Crowley, who's my judge in the Legal Services Commission case. You couldn't read about it. Judgments are made every day. So overlocking, interlocking, that it's the same magistrate that didn't give me a committal hearing, that is the same magistrate that refused me a committal hearing. And we've got the same prosecutor in all these charges, from what I can tell. Might not be 100% on that one, but definitely the last few. So, yeah, it seems like it's the big bad wolf. You know, we're going to huff and we're going to puff, and we're going to blow your house down. There's actually potentially not that many of them in those positions. And they all rely on the authority. I've got this position. I'm smarter than you. I'm better than you.
Yep.
I can do whatever I want to you.
And that shit needs to end.
Yeah.
Needs to end. You know, but it's only going to happen when the people actually start taking a little bit more interest in what's really going on here. You know, people need to stand up. You know, it can't just be you and me on a podcast once a week or once a fortnight or whenever, you know, reminding everyone that this is bullshit. You know, everybody's got to actually give a shit. You know, we need the burning torches and the pitchforks, you know. While we're going down the acting and the world as a stage role, we better bring out the burning torches and pitchforks. It's an important part of stories, you know.
Well, there's actually a lady I should put you onto it. It's called Save the Water Whit Sunday. So there's a big gold mine proposed out at Dipna, which is going to affect the water supply to our region. And she's doing an amazing job. And but no one's listening, because it seems like it's been rubber stamped to get through. It's only our drinking water. It's no big deal.
Yeah, oh fuck. Well, why would you worry about that? You know, it's not
like it could only be,
we're 90% water or anything.
Yep. So, you know, there's multiple other, tons of other reasons to for it to not go ahead. But she's screaming all over social media. It's your water, your drinking water.
Yeah.
No one cares. So I don't know.
But stop. The footy's on. The footy's on.
That's right. If you're not worried about your own water supply of healthy drinking water, you have to pretty much say, don't worry about anything else. No point talking here. If that's too hard for you, and you trust the government.
Well, anybody who trusts the government's got a problem.
Not saying there aren't trustworthy people in there, but as a whole, if you're handing over
few and far between, I'd imagine.
32.5% of your tax, your pay goes on tax, and then your GST on top of that. So you're looking at, you know, by the time you pay tax on everything that you buy, you're left with nothing. Yeah. So you want to trust them and work your ass off?
Malcolm Roberts calculated it out a great many years ago, and I've mentioned this a few times. It's probably different now, but it was, you know, an average 9 to 5 job, you know, Monday to Friday. You start working on Monday, and by the time you get to 10 o'clock Thursday, you're done paying for government. From there on in, you get something.
Well, if you take $100 and you say $100 is $1,000, take 32 cents in the dollar out of that. Let's call it 75, right? You're back to 75. You go to the fuel station and you put in $50 worth of petrol. And I think it's 75% excise tax. But the guy that bought the fuels already has to pay tax. He's paying tax on the building, tax on his pump, tax on the drivers, tax. But you're left with $25. Then you go into the shop, and unless you're buying, you know, milk, eggs that are now, you know, $16 a carton, there's 11% GST on it. So out of your $100, what are you left with?
Fuck all.
And how many lots of tax have they made on all the other interlocking taxes?
And they still can't afford to pay for everything. They've basically stolen absolutely everything that we do and we earn, and they still can't afford it. How bad are you at maths? How bad are they at running a business? And any element of our government, if it was an actual business, wouldn't last 6 fucking months.
No, they wouldn't.
Mm.
Absolutely not. You know, basically, their own incomes, you know, they all take it. They're all on the gravy train. They're all getting their retirement. And it's like, oh, we can't change anything. We may as well just take it. But no, you don't see anyone standing up in Parliament right now and saying, I want to vote to remove our pensions to make them in the same genre as the average individual, even a high income earner.
Yeah,
Retirement
no, they get to claim their pensions early. They get everything buttered up, and yep, you're damn right. I've not seen anyone say, "Hey, I'd like to vote for a pay decrease to ease the burden on the taxpayer." Not one of them.
So there begs the question of the indoctrination of the individual that goes, oh, but it's the government. We just have to. We just got to.
Yeah.
If we don't,
that's the problem.
What will happen?
And you have that conversation with your average Joe, and they're, oh, yeah, but what do you do? Well, I guess bend over and take it up the arse, mate. Been so good at it so far. Why fucking stop? Like, come on.
Yeah. And and the more you know, you realize the less you know when you're actually going further and further down the rabbit hole. And these people are just literally taking the mickey out of us. They're sitting back and they're laughing at us.
Yep.
All the way right back, you know. So, I mean, that's a topic that could go for the next, my lifetime, and talking about those sort of things and how they dodge the figures and what they're doing. But it all really starts with the people getting home at night time, turning on that television and believing what's the idiot box and believing what's on it, and you know, then picking up the paper, or most of it's now scrolling through, you know, aggregate sites and social media, and oh, that must be true because that headline says, you know, like I said to this lady that was gossiping about me, I said,
but nobody wants to pay for the paywall, so they only ever see the fucking headlines.
That's right. And the headlines actually are detrimental when you come to a court case, because sub judice, if you i.e. had a jury, and the jury, which is what happened in my first court case, that someone had seen the headlines, and I said the headlines are damning. You cannot not have an opinion if you've read the headlines. And the judge is like, no, that's not true. And I said, it is true. I'll bring them up for you. And the barrister on the other side brought them up, and the entire jury was sent home because of the headlines.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah. So I think, you know, shows like yours, which I'm grateful for, you know, where you speak the truth and you speak like a real individual without that newspaper reporting, you know.
I entertained that idea for a little while, but the only way I could actually do it, and I might actually do it as a joke one day, is to dress up in a suit and give the stuffy presentation version, and then suddenly flash to just dressing normal in a Metallica t-shirt. Fuck off, mate. What the fuck is this shit? And just like actually give a proper balanced reporting.
Yeah. Why not? That could be fun, because at the end of the day, so there's a case here in Airlie Beach, and they've just written a book. It's upstairs. I should have bought it. And it's called Shot Dead, and it's a young boy that was shot by police in the main street of Airlie Beach. It's an absolutely horrendous story, and they've now released a book about it. And one of the, you know, big things is Ian Levers, who was the union commissioner, who was just found dead, not suspicious circumstances. He did
apparently that's what the media reported. Must be true, because they're so trustworthy.
No comment. So he reported that Luke lunged forward at the police with a knife. I've seen the video footage firsthand. Absolutely not true. This news reporter got on there and said that he lunged towards the police, and she's now been confronted by it, and she's actually made a public apology that she should never have said that, because it never happened.
Wow.
But the commissioner of the union, or whoever he was, Ian Levers, he actually got on, the news and said, oh, he was shot because he, he pulled a knife and he leant forward. Don't quote me on the words, but leant forward and lunged at police. And like I said, I've seen the video footage. There's been a coroner's inquest. He never lunged. His hands were right down by his side. So you have to wonder also when it comes to departments of the state, how they can actually go on a public record and come out and verbatimly say what someone did. They should be saying it's in front of the court. We have no comment. Do you know what I mean?
Well, aren't they supposed to say allegedly?
Yeah, well, they can say allegedly, but still, even if they say allegedly, did this, if it's as far as if it's, if his hands were down by his side and they said he allegedly lunged, that means you could write anything you wanted because it would be alleged, and that wouldn't be reporting. That'd be just fucking fairy tale stories, which is pretty much what they get away with. That's
what they do. Seen it too many times.
So I alleged I saw a unicorn. I alleged, the UFOs were coming. I alleged, as long as you put alleged in front of it, apparently you're safe. So I should have just
That's exactly what it is. Fucking Russell Brand used to do that for a little while. I think it was a good 6 months. He just had an allegedly button anytime he wanted to say something that they weren't going to like. Really? Allegedly. Which I thought was quite funny, because I made the same point, when working for the lame stream. It's like, we've got the evidence. There's the video footage of the cunt actually doing this. Why do we say allegedly today, but we didn't say allegedly yesterday? Oh, well, yesterday it wasn't before the courts. We can say whatever the fuck we want. Now it's before the courts. We have to say allegedly. I'm like, seriously? That's the difference? Yep.
Oh, I know. But I just thought of something really cool. So it is my brochure where I put legal advocate. And it really is. It says on there for educational purposes, subscribe. There's nothing there saying that I'm going to give you advice. What about if I said I was an alleged legal advocate, or I was alleged?
Because the mainstream media has alleged that you are. Yes. Yes.
Right? They've alleged that I am, but they haven't even alleged. They've factually stated. So what if I
reckon you could step around that. Well, it would be worth testing. New Facebook post, alleged legal advocate.
Yeah.
Use their own shit against them. Brilliant. Love it, Heidi. I reckon you should give it a go.
How could you be?
What could go wrong?
Prosecuted for being an alleged legal advocate, because you're only alleging.
Yeah. And then you just take that screenshot that we got here from the Courier Mail, and there's your proof that you're allegedly a legal advocate.
Yeah.
Yeah, here it is. And bring it up just to emphasize the point for those who have tuned in a little bit late. Ta-da! All right, alleged legal advocate Heidi Ward, and there's your screenshot, right there.
So I'm only alleging to show you where to find court forms. I'm only alleging to, show you how to dress in court. I'm only alleging, that I could help you write an affidavit, which is your own affidavit that you have to sign in your own words. So therefore, I'm scribing
allegedly, if you walk in a court with a dead cat in your head, you're more respected.
Beats me. Honestly,
we can start a new trend. You got to and you seriously, going back to that point you made earlier, you have a look at how ridiculous you look. Like, you walk into the pub like that, you'd probably be bashed.
Oh, they would just
think he's in the wrong bar. Something. They think this is a gay bar or something, walking in dressed like that.
Yeah. Well, what would actually stop people in the gallery dressing like that and sitting down?
Don't know.
You're not allowed to wear a hat against it? Well, you're not allowed to wear a hat and you're not allowed to wear sunglasses in the gallery.
But wigs are okay.
I don't know. I've never actually worn a wig in this.
Discrimination against bald people. You can't tell me I can't wear a wig.
I don't know. I don't know. So I could make another one out of toilet paper, I suppose. But it all means.
Yeah, you got to get the dunny roll, 3 twists before the end.
Yeah. But it all means something when we're watching, the Crown, the corporation. Well, I've sort of come to the point where each country is its own corporation with its own set of money, and that's all they're protecting. That's all it is. It's the people at the top of the tree at each country that's protecting themselves. There's a great book called The Economic Hitman, I think it's called, and it talks about all of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I've got a copy of that floating around on my hard drive somewhere.
Dressed in a red coat outfit or what have you, with a wig on, and you were outside the court realms or the city centre, right? And you walked in and you were walking around, you were seen walking around in that constantly. You went out to lunch wearing that. You went to work out behind the bar, whatever. People would actually think that you have something wrong with you. Yeah,
I reckon.
Yep.
Logical conclusion. Like I said, would you walk into the pub wearing that?
Yeah,
mate, you might walk into a gay bar wearing that. I don't know, I've never been to one, but I imagine that's the kind of thing they'd wear.
Yeah, Oxford Street in Sydney is a perfect place to go get dressed up. But it is. It's just a weird world that we live in, and it just seems to be costumes, fake narrative, fake this, fake that. And I think there's such a divide now in people that you're either completely asleep, or there's a lot of when's this going to end for people like you and I. But I'm glad I know a lot more than what I used to know. Do you know what I mean? Even though it's frustrating. Yeah, it's whatever. You just look at these people and you just go, really? Okay.
Yeah. That's like being the only sane person in a nut house, Like,
yeah.
Yeah, even the attendees are nuts here.
And I'm just like this pseudo law adherent and all of this because I challenged a few things a different way and did this and did that. And really, if you take the 16 matters that they brought against me, 17, if you take the commissioner case, and, I'm 13 down as far as either getting them dismissed or I've won them, you could hardly say that I'm a pseudo legal adherent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was just going to get something to set.
Oh, excuse me, just yawning. Oh, stress. Oh, you got a puppy dog. Is this the new one you had to go and get the other day?
This is Liberty. We've got Justice
Liberty.
and Liberty.
One day they won't just be pets looked after by people. Justice and liberty will actually be things that really exist on planet Earth.
Oh, you'd hope so. It's so funny when you talk about justice and liberty. As you can see, she's just, I think she's a Labrador, not a Border Collie. She's just cuddly and soft and just sits there, whereas the other one's completely hyperactive.
Personalities.
Yeah. So the liberty and justice works well. And it's quite funny at the beach the other day. I'm going, liberty, justice, liberty. Feels really good to yell it out loud.
Yeah, keep looking for it. You might find it one day.
I might get another dog.
Again, it takes you back to my childhood again, like going, what the fuck does liberty actually mean? I must have been maybe 15 years old, pulled out the dictionary, read the definition and gone, nobody's got that in this fucking place.
What does it mean exactly? I've never looked it up.
Well, it was an old dictionary. I doubt the dictionary. I can quickly look it up now. I'm pretty confident it won't give me the dictionary definition I got when I was a kid. And it basically meant absolute freedom, as I recall off the top of my head. That was a dictionary from the bloody 60s, one that the old lady had from when she was in school. But let's entertain ourselves, define liberty. And, of course, we won't just take the first one we see. We've got to check a few because that just shows you how much difficulty we have trying to actually get a definition these days, Liberty, noun, the condition of being free from confinement. Wow, does anybody feel free from confinement? Free from servitude. Does anybody feel free from servitude? I'm sure Monday morning you're going to be really contemplating that question. you know, most of the people. Forced labor. Again, Monday morning springing to mind. You know, so like I said, does anybody actually feel that liberty is something that we have? The condition of being free. Well, it's pretty close to sort of the similar thing that I read back in the day, you know, from oppressive restriction. Wow. Does anybody actually feel free from the condition, the condition of, do you feel the condition of being free from oppressive restriction in this country right now, or anywhere on this fucking planet for that matter? You know, I think the only place you might find that is, you know, running around in a loincloth in the middle of nowhere where they haven't found fucking, you know, set up some civilization yet, or what they consider civilization.
Yeah, it says the state of being free within society from oppressive restrictions imposed by authority on one's way of life, behavior, or political view.
Yeah. Well, again, it continues here in line 2, the condition of being free from oppressive restriction or control by a government. Wow. We've got digital IDs. We've got, you know, the new age restrictions. I'm telling all the 14 to 16-year-olds are not feeling that right now, thanks to the government, that's for sure. Or other power, the banks, the courts. Do we need to keep going, ladies and gentlemen? Truth, I think the first definition is really hammering this home. A right to engage in certain actions. Well, apparently we don't have that right, because the newspapers keep telling Heidi and myself and Troy Thompson and various other people, you're not allowed to do that. What's this freedom you keep talking about? Freedom, that's dumb. Fucking morons. Or interference by a government or other power. We're fucking really struggling to fulfill this definition in this world today.
So I'll flip it here. So if you go to section 355 of the Criminal Code 1899, it calls deprivation of liberty any person who unlawfully confines or detains another in any place against the other person will or otherwise another person's will, or otherwise unlawfully deprives another of other person's personal liberty, is guilty of a misdemeanor and is liable for imprisonment for up to 3 years.
Wow, can we arrest the entire fucking government? I'm not alone. They should all be locked up.
Well, that's the interesting
why stop there? We got liberty from the Merriam-Webster dictionary, you know, the quality or the state of being free. Yeah, I'm struggling with that one. The power to do as one pleases. We certainly don't have that right. I cannot dance naked down the street because I suddenly felt the urge, you know. Freedom for unless I've got a rainbow flag. If you've got a rainbow flag, you can do it. So I guess that might work. You can dance naked down the street as long as you have a rainbow flag. Freedom from physical restraint. Well, I think I just covered that with the dancing naked down the street. But anyway, freedom from arbitrary or despotic control.
What's despotic mean?
As in like a dictatorship.
Oh, okay.
You know, so the alleged Hitlers and the alleged Stalins who seem to inspire more of our leaders than they would care to, I guess, admit. The enjoyment of the same social, political, and economic rights and privileges enjoyed by others in a society free of arbitrary or unreasonable limitation or interference. Now, that's an interesting one because I want somebody to show me such a society. I'm looking, please show me a society that actually has the freedom to not make this a contradictory statement unto itself.
Well, it's there in the criminal code.
Yeah, but it's just words. None of this shit actually fucking happens. That's the thing. It's all just fucking words.
Yep. So why do lawyers then, i.e., that comes to mind, brain fart, you know, go for a false arrest? Wouldn't you charge them with a, you know, the police individually, privately, with a deprivation of liberty rather than a false arrest? Because
according to we've got the Cambridge dictionary right here, which I think would support that, because we can pretty much all take the government, the police, and everybody involved in the last 5 years lockdown bullshit, the freedom to live as you wish or to go where you want. That's the definition from the Cambridge dictionary. I think we're fucked. None of this shit happens. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We have determined by dictionary definition here live on the North Queensland Freedom Network that freedom does not exist anywhere on this fucking planet. Sips.
Did you ask legal definition? I learned a new word.
Just went with dictionary. This is the layman's version. You know, we're just laymen. You know, we're not legal advocates. Remember, you know, you may be an alleged one by all means, but you know, like now, all right. Legally,
I'm just looking it up. I learned a new word this week called Wednesbury. Wednesbury. So instead of Wednesday, it finishes with B-U-R-Y. It means unreasonableness. So you can say you are a Wednesbury.
But Wednesday is derived from Odin. It's Odin's day.
So the legal definition of liberty is the liberty in the law refers to the condition of being free from arbitrary or undue restraint, whether by the state, another person, or an institution. It is one of the most fundamental legal rights recognised in common law and constitutional jurisprudence. Legally, liberty generally contains to three core elements: freedom from physical restraint, I'm not going to read it all, freedom to act and make personal choices, and liberty limited only to lawful constraints.
There you go.
Yeah. So
according
interesting.
to this one, the law dictionary here, it says liberty defined as freedom, straight up, freedom. Exemption from extraneous control, the power of the will in its moral freedom to follow the dictates of its unrestricted choice and to direct the external acts of the individual without restraint, coercion, or control from other persons. And there's a whole bunch of American cases to cite it. I have a feeling our entire way of life is about to be challenged. I think that we, the people, need a massive class action against our government based on the definitions provided by every dictionary we've looked at. My faith in the internet is restored.
Oh, we should probably, we could do a people's referendum. We could petition the Governor-General who Albanese put in power in case he does something wrong. So she has the ability to sack him if she wanted to, but she's made a public announcement to say that she's not going to do that. But it goes down to currently, and I'm not saying I support Pauline Hanson, I don't support really anyone, but I did file against the Faruqi case, Senator Marie Faruqi.
Yep.
In February, under 18C of the Constitution, Defamation Act, I should say. And I was ruled as essentially frivolous and vexatious for filing that in the High Court. You can just go onto Heidi Ward High Court, it'll come up, or Jade Osley, it'll come up under there. I did send you a copy of it, Mark. But basically what's been argued this week in court could have been a little bit more powerful on that.
That's not the one you said before with the leave to issue a file. That's the other one, isn't it?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, the leave to issue a file with the special leave of the High Court to file against Marie Faruqi. Yeah, that one. So that's what was put in, which is actually what's being fought now in front of the courts with Pauline Hanson and her team against Faruqi. But if you read it, it says it's ruled as frivolous, vexatious on the face of it, but without looking into it, it's just basically been not accepted. So it'd be really interesting to see if Pauline Hanson was to win against 18C, which is Coleman versus Power, really is the case precedent there. What will Mr. Sudi pseudonym, after pulling this application apart, say? Because it's exactly what if you've been watching the court case, is what this is about. And it's pretty straightforward that you have the liberty, is where I've got to this, liberty of freedom of speech. And Coleman versus Power clearly provides that under 18C of the Discrimination Act. So I can't see how Pauline Hanson can't win. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm siding with her. I'm saying that because there's a high court precedent and it stands for itself as to what that is. So yeah, but basically, yeah, yet again, I was a numpty apparently. Frivolous and vexatious litigant in front of the court, struck out, and it's exactly what they've got going on in the court at the moment. In fact, I think that they've been it's finished now, so they're just waiting a judgment.
Yeah, Pauline didn't comment on it the other day. Obviously, it was a wise move not to, play to the media's hands and just let the courts work it out, I guess. We'll
I
see
don't
what
believe
happens.
there is anything for the court to work out. It's one of the most simple cases that if you've got a job, you've got real estate. Now she's got a really well-paying job, multi-property owner.
Yep.
Just because someone has a person that you may as well say, oh, bloody go and change your hair back to, blonde. You look ridiculous as a red. You know what I mean? She didn't mention anything about being Muslim. She didn't mention anything about and this is where this racism's actually got to a whole new point. I don't think anyone is really racist, a minority, right? No one really cares whether someone looks like. We've grown up in a multicultural society where, I myself have Spanish, German, Chinese, and Welsh. Everyone's got something because of the way, the world is. I think
it's pretty hard not to be a mongrel these days. I don't think there's a purebred anything left.
No. So, but the difference is when it comes to culture or religion, potentially. So, i.e., we've got all these people saying, I want to do this and I want to do this. Australia's a free country. Australia can do, they've invited us in. We're allowed our political and personal rights, which our constitution does allow. Good luck putting a bikini on and walking through a mosque in even Lombok.
Yeah.
Right? You just couldn't. And you can literally catch a long-tail boat in under 15 minutes from the Gili Islands to Lombok in Bali. And if you turned up with anything like that on, you'd be locked up. If you turned up to one of the temples and didn't wear a sarong or the appropriate clothing, you'd be locked up because that's their cultural belief. And because we don't stand on a said cultural belief or said tradition, what we've got is a cultural warfare happening now in our country.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And again, it emphasizes that point of freedom. You can't go into that place unless you do this. So you are bound by the rules and terms and conditions. Everything's rules and terms and conditions. There's no such thing as fucking free. It is utter bullshit.
That's right. Yeah. So and
what are we fighting over? Our right to impose which rules? That's pretty much how it is. It's a war of rules. It's a war of ideology.
We become employees by
stupid.
So if you go to work at I've had businesses my whole life. You come to work for me. These are the rules of my shop. If you don't like it, don't sign up. Right?
Yeah.
We don't get the opportunity.
Management refuses the right to refuse entry.
Yes. Well, if it's not a public place, I guess they do, right? But at the same time, we should have those same rights if we don't want to do it the other way. There's got to be rules. There's got to be guidelines because people have become so stupid.
Yeah.
But it's a bit like driving through the roads in Bali. They've got no traffic lights. They all weave in and out of each other. They're courteous of each other. And there's very few accidents.
Yeah.
It's controlled chaos. It's when you've got the Westerners jumping in there and they're the ones causing the accidents. So, sometimes
an excessive amount of rules seems to be detrimental, one might say.
The more rules, the more problem because the less people think.
Yep. That's it. Well, there should be a law against that. So sick of hearing that shit.
Yeah. It's, the captain bring me down's going, oh, they shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have done that. They should go to jail for that.
Yeah. You're a grumpy bastard, and that's all it is.
Yeah. So, I think we learnt the big one with the COVID, at the end of the day, the hate when we said we didn't want to get vaccinated and, we wanted to do some research, or we wanted to wait and see what the outcome of it was. And, at that time, most people were like vaccinated with everything else and just something didn't sit right. And we were hated on, hated on.
Yeah. But that was nothing new to me.
Oh, look,
I was so used to it. It doesn't bother me. I really don't care what other people think, I was quite prepared to go and live out in the bush by myself if I had to. Wouldn't give a shit. I was not playing this stupid fucking game. It was the dumbest, and I still to this day cannot believe that people bought into it. Does my head in.
Yeah. But it's fascinating, the hatred. Like, even like, I put something on, and I rarely post stuff, but I got it's a new Chinese place. We rarely get takeout. Anyway, I got some great Chinese takeout. It was really reasonable. It was bloody delicious. So I put a shout out, being that I'm from food background, onto the local site. And even that attracted, interesting to see so many people agreeing with the nutter, because of my view on the COVID vaccine.
Yeah. It's still, I guess there must be a point within that mentality. I don't understand it, or I've did not conform. But I guess when you've gone along with something that's plainly pointed out as fucking stupid, you have to continuously believe your delusional reality, I guess, to maintain that fiction within yourself and justify why you did the dumbest thing in the world. I don't understand it myself, but it is what it is. I mean, CC's made an interesting point here. It's an elitist's world. Yes, it always has been. It has been for a long fucking time. It's not it's just a collection of various different rulers. So have decided to do, cool, you guys can rule the mind, you guys can rule the body, you guys can rule the religious content, the spirituality, we'll just divide it up into little groups and little gangs, for another word to appoint it, and we'll run the show.
Yeah, it's like the judicial system's only really for the affluent. It really is, because nobody can afford, and people go, oh well, you shouldn't have done that, and you shouldn't have got yourself into trouble, or you shouldn't have this, and you shouldn't have that.
If you've done nothing wrong, everything will be okay until you're fucked for no reason.
That's right. And it could be anything. It could be you, Mark, with your back. Something happens overnight, and you need to, you've got to dispute over who's liable to pay for your injuries. It could be someone could walk out in front of you in a car. You could, anything can happen to anyone at any time. And particularly when police only have 8 months training, that they can base their arrest on reasonable suspicion, which means anything. Walking up Early Beach in a safe night precinct and accidentally bump into a cop, and then you're being shot dead. Yep, that's what happened, And then the police officer actually said in that case, oh, you're a tough guy, which was admitted to. So, and it turns out
there's that, I've gone blank on the terminology, projection. They're projecting his own attitude.
Yeah.
Really? You're the one walking down the street with a badge and a gun shooting people?
Yeah, and calling someone a tough guy. Because you've got the authority and you apparently don't have to abide by the same things. So anyway, probably best to get going. It's Sunday, and
it's been a good 2 hours. So yeah, we should probably leave it at that before we say anything else that'll get us arrested.
Because I was very careful with what I said.
I don't think I was very careful at all, because I'm just done. And I say these things for the purpose of entertainment. This is just a show.
That's right. And it is. And that's
right at the beginning. This is entertaining.
Yeah. That's the
and what else can you do in a world that claims that we're free, and we've clearly demonstrated is not fucking free? but laugh at just how fucking enslaved we all are and how much we love being enslaved. Thank you, Elbow, and all you other oppressive pieces of human dog shit that I one day hope to scrape from my boot.
So, so basically, the headline today is there is no liberty and justice is for the affluent.
That's it. They're just two dogs in Heidi's fucking room. That's it.
That's it. All right, you. I'm out of here. Cleaning some gutters today. So, yeah, we've got some house jobs to do.
Yeah, we got a lot of shit we got to sort out here too. So I will also take this time to let everybody know I'm going to take next week off. Got a bunch of things we need to sort out. I'll leave it at that, and I'll let you know what was going on when I get back, because I think that's the safest move at this particular juncture in time. Don't want to let the enemy know too much about what's really going on. Keep them guessing. It's far more interesting that way. But there will be Blackboard t-shirts coming very soon. So get ready. You'll need your I Am Blackboard t-shirt to justify the mainstream media's lies as best we can. Oh, wouldn't it be great to just see a whole bunch of people walking around with I Am Blackboard t-shirts, just to let the mainstream media know, we know you are lying. We know you're conspiracy theorists. Because that's what it really means. So you're aware of the Blackboard story, aren't you?
Mr. Blackboard from Mr. School?
No. Blackboard was an Indigenous guest I had on who we hid the identity of, and it actually caused this kerfuffle. Have a look at this. This is how far the mainstream media took my Blackboard stuff. They turned it into a conspiracy theory.
But Troy Thompson has plenty of support, including those from the fringe online platform called the North Queensland Freedom Network. Its podcast host has denied any suggestions that a special guest with his face and voice disguised under the name Blackboard was in fact Troy Thompson when we made this phone call last week. We're trying to confirm if Blackboard, the guest on Friday's episode, was that Troy Thompson?
You guys are so bad at your jobs.
He hung up. Accusing 10 News First of peddling a conspiracy.
I couldn't remember his name. I don't think it's worth remembering, to be honest. This guy's a f***ing idiot.
But podcast host Barbecue Batty knows a thing or two about conspiracy theories.
The whole idea of trust the science is about as stupid as you could get.
And claims Blackboard is an Indigenous truth teller.
Blackboard has been on this channel before.
So that was their bullshit recovery after they'd made the ridiculous statement. And you love the way they fucking carved that up. And, you know, and to prove the point where they've gone, trust the science is, you know, a ridiculous concept. Here's a whole thing in context.
I mean, what sort of a society are we living in where we're told, no, trust the experts? And the experts, time and time, have been proven to be wrong.
Well, it goes against the fundamental principles of science, as I was discussing on our Friday night podcast with the scientist, you know, where the whole idea of trust the science is about as stupid as you could get. You know, I mean, if we said, all right, cool, let's trust the science, for example, you know, whatever Isaac Newton come up with, that's the end of it. No more scientific research required. Newton got it sorted, you know. But it turns out, you know, bloody Einstein come along with some new things that challenge that idea, you know. But now people are coming along and challenge what Einstein said as well. And that's science, you know, challenging the idea and going, hang on, let's move on, let's advance. That's science is supposed to be about that kind of advancement. If you're not allowed to challenge it, how are you supposed to advance as a society? Of course, the mainstream media don't want that in context. But just one more time for the road, I've got to put my favorite bit in, you know, they're so bad at your jobs. This guy actually used this as evidence for Troy Thompson being Blackboard.
We're trying to confirm if Blackboard, the guest on Friday's episode, was that Troy Thompson?
You guys are so bad at your jobs. Mate, you really need to go do your research. Best of luck to you, buddy.
He hung up.
It's interesting, between point A and point B there, he used two different versions of that recording to justify his point of view, neither of which helped his case. He's a complete fucking moron. One of the dumbest reporters known to man is that bloody tub of lard.
You can actually look at the the body language. You can look at the ego, the I'm right, we're going to catch him out because we're investigators. You know,
well, he's faked it too, because that's not how the conversation went. He's gone in and re-recorded his lines because he actually asked even dumber questions, and he sounded like a complete moron. He started the conversation with, "Oh, is this the North Queensland Tourist Network?" That was his opening line. Is this the North Queensland Tourist Network? I'm like, mate, Tourist Network? Are you sure you got the right number? Oh, yeah, I've got you down as the North Queensland Tourist. Are you sure it's the Tourist Network? Like, I'm trying to help the fucking moron, but he was so dumb. He couldn't see, but he fucked up from the word go. But that's why he had to go back and re-record his parts so he could try and make it look better, but it didn't help him.
Yeah, you just wonder. It's just if only they knew the damage that they do, you know, do they? And that's why I think it's so important to you know, have this element of private prosecution, that we are able to hold these people accountable. It's just getting the courts to actually do it is the problem. But you know, I think there has to be some massive turnaround on the media when so many people, it's not just me, bloody hell, it's every day, someone, somehow, you know, there has to be some sort of discretion or some sort of rules, not just balance article, opinion based, this or that. If you're reporting on a court case, you at least should pass some type of, I don't know, IQ test or something that you know what I mentioned.
Well,
you know
that's it. All mainstream media journalists are fucked.
Yeah,
you
well,
want to get them to pass an IQ test? Fuck.
Oh, yeah. No, but like in the court, you should know what an appeal is, what an appellant is, what a judicial review is, what the jurisdiction's a separate jurisdiction, what a mention is, just the basics of the court proceedings. If you're actually going to report on it for public interest, for the interests of the public, to make
the problem
their
there,
own...
Heidi, is the mainstream media journalistic thing is in such a fucking state of disarray. Only a complete fuckwit would stay in the job. There's a revolving door. Like the time I spent there, you know, like we'll take Win News. I was there for 1 year because I stupidly signed a 1 year contract and I was stuck for a fucking year. I wanted to get out of there within about a couple of months. You know, right? I've learned all I needed to learn here. This is a shit show. But you know, one of the first things I was told when I walked into the door is like, this is a revolving door. People are in and out of this place like you wouldn't believe, you know, because most people can't handle it. That's the way they put it. I'm like, well, pretty sure I can handle this. Yeah, I could handle it, but I couldn't handle them. Their way of doing things, their way of thinking. They are just a fucking. They're just a joke. Most reporters hated their lives. They hated their jobs. They couldn't fuck it. They were all struggling, you know. And like statements like, "Is it just me?" Or does everybody go home at the end of the day and think, what did I do today? Like, it's just like you're running in a state of survival instincts all fucking day. To the extent that by the time you go home, sit down and have your dinner, you've never had the time to sort of process what's happened. You've never really thought about what you've done. You're just doing the job time again. It's like... I know I can't describe it outside of like it was a psychological assault, and it was good to hear a reporter say that. I thought, oh shit, I thought it was just me trying to fucking please you idiots who would never seem to be pleased, you know?
Yeah,
because you know from the moment you start, you got to find whatever stories you can. The restriction of a story must be relevant, so it has to have happened today, makes everything in panic stations from the moment you start. What are we doing? Who are we chasing? What's the spin? Where are we going? What are we doing? And we're going to try and fill every moment of the day as quickly as you can, get back and then slam it together in the most rudimentary, fucked up way, you know, and the amount of times you get to the end and go, how the fuck did we get it to air that fast? How did we actually get this job done? Because it was a shit show from the word go, and it's like that every fucking day. Any wonder these people do a shit job, because they haven't got the ability to do a good job, even if they wanted to.
Yeah, this reporter that was walking out of the court, I did ask to speak to them to, because I knew what they were going to do. Anyway, he was a dag, and his shoelaces were really long, and both of them were undone. I'm guessing now that he meant it to be that way, but there was 3 flights of stairs to get down. And my partner Mick just said, "Hey, buddy, in all honesty, he was being helpful. Hey, your shoelaces are undone. Be careful, mate." And he sort of turned around and went like like some sort of robot, like, "Don't tell me what to do." And it's just like, how stupid do you have to be to have your shoelaces out like that, which is a triple hazard, while you're walking down some stairs, and to be actually rude to someone who was genuinely being kind.
Yeah.
And it was just this, I can't explain it, weird, I'm not going to say vibe, but it was definitely a weird, wall that goes up.
Well, you need it, because you're in a fucked psychological state. Not only are you constantly under the pump, you're also invading other people's spaces. There was a few times we walked away from court scenarios and like, fuck, I feel like an absolute cunt. That's because we are the cunts.
Yeah.
What we were doing was wrong. The way we were treating people was horrible.
Yeah.
So you know what you're doing is fucked. Probably one of the hardest things to be doing. But I mean, and that's where your social justice shit comes in. It's like, no, we're shining a light on the horrible people and all that. So you have to take a side. You have to assume the person you're attacking is your enemy, because it's the only way you can justify what you're doing.
Yeah, that's right. And it's really sad. Like, even, when I walked over and said, "Do you reckon you've written more articles on anyone else other than me?" And this is the way it's like, "Oh, well, you seem to be in court a lot." It's just like, yeah, do you know the damage that you're doing? You know what you're writing's not true. Yep, no one at home. Nothing there.
Yeah.
Anyway, lame stream is exactly what it is. It's lame.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we've had a chat about it, because I am definitely going to take it further. And now it's influenced so many other things, and and it's silly then, because all it does, it just helps someone like me that the more they write something bad or false about me, I'm a truth seeker, so the more determined I am. So it's actually helping me going, right, I've got to keep going, I'm going to prove you guys wrong, because you are wrong, and there's nothing more important to someone telling the truth than the bloody truth. And I've got it on police documents that I can go, here it is, have a look at this, I've showed you them on the show, here it is, here's this, where am I wrong?
Exactly.
And
that's
if I
the thing, that the more those on the wrong side of history continue to do what they're doing, the more it makes our lives easier, the more content it gives us for this podcast. I guess in a sense it's horrible and it sucks, but they're doing humanity a favor, and it's one of those psychological and spiritual concepts that I think we all need to sort of try to embrace as best as we can. Is the evil in this world is put here for us to shine a light on it.
Yeah, the opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy. They themselves are the web that they weave. Like, at the end of the day, half the stuff I do at court, I wouldn't have known how to do it, other than they challenge me and they write something, so I then have to go and look up that piece of legislation that teaches me that, and so on and so forth. And that's the indoctrinated path that I guess a degree is. You do it this way, and this is the only way that you do it, and you're bound to the court, and you're bound to this, and you're bound to that.
Wholeheartedly agree. So, we'll survive, we'll fight on, and, the more they do it, the more they do harm to themselves.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that's like I say, if I overturn this and I win this, it'll be for so many people that have just been shafted, by the same sort of situation. I hear it every day, you know, and, you know, at the end of the day, you know, a precedent for aggravated malicious prosecution would be mighty fine. Potentially 16 cases out of 16 would be a nice figure to get, considering this all started with a $250 trespass, said alleged trespass, which essentially has come to fruition now that that did not occur in the way that it was brought to the court. Yeah, that's a serious, you know, 16 charges at, you know, 7 different increments to all of it be a load of BS. Would be a great result in one respect, but what a waste of time in another. And damages, exactly. You know, you lie awake at night, you can't sleep, you get anxiety, you know, the panic to get to court, the sleepless nights, you know, you know, we get to hop on a show like this and can have a casual chat about stuff, but the reality of it, it is, it's completely damaging and stressful, and seeing yourself in the newspaper with a bullshit article, knowing that, you know, people are going to see it, and it's very hurtful. But you know, rather than being a victim, let's be survivors, and you know, because ultimately I see them as the victims. Yeah, exactly. You know, you want to lie and cheat and bullshit your way through life. Well, you're the victim. Yeah, self-imposed too. So that's right. No, look, you've done a great job, Heidi. You know, you fought and battled through shit that a lot of other people would have crumbled and folded like a bad house of cards. You know, amazing work, and you know, I hope you keep fighting on and doing the good work that you do, and coming to share it with us. So that will hopefully inspire more people to stand up like you too, because that's the important thing. You know, you members of the audience, you can't just sit back and let Heidi do all the fighting. You've got to step up too. There's plenty of opportunities. Go have a look at Friday's show where we had Jackie and Daryl on, and we discussed these sorts of things as well. You know, everybody's got to do their little bit in some way, shape, or form, whatever that may be. You know, go and have a look at yourself and figure out what that is and what you can do to make the world a better place, because it's not going to get better by just sitting back watching shit. You actually got to do shit. Oh, I think we've got a bit of a road ahead. There's no doubt about that. It's a long, hard road out of hell. Yeah. Well, that's why we need all hands on deck. We need everybody actually doing their bit. Yeah, you got to do something. If you don't agree, just ask a bloody question. You know, that's all it is. It might be, you know, your power gets turned off and someone turns up and you say you're trespassing, and they go, no, we're allowed to be here. Well, no, you're not allowed to be here. Leave, right? Film them. They're not allowed to be there. You know, challenge your electricity bill. Do they do it on an average? You know, quite often they don't even read your meter and they just make it up. It's on the bill. It says this has been done on an average. And then when you ring up and you challenge them on the average, they say, oh, well, you go and have a look at your meter now. So you do. And they go, well, that's higher than what the average is. Of course it is. It's 2 weeks fucking later. It's higher. It's all these games that they play. There's just so many things you can just challenge. You know? Well, let's say turn around and go and read your meter. Hang on. Are you asking me to do your job for free? Are you going to compensate me for you doing your job? Yeah. What if I tell you the wrong numbers? Yeah. I can go out and do your job. That'll be $100. Thanks. You can take that off my bill. No, if they think you're wrong, they charge you $25 anyway. We're putting solar on at the moment, and there's all these questions happening with all of that. So, but there's just every day, you know, you walk into a shop, you know, why is your water $6 for a bottle of $1 water, even if it's just to make someone feel comfortable, because it's a rip-off, you know? That's all right. We're giving 10 cents to charity this week. Don't you feel good about yourself? Oh, you know, we've got a massive problem with these young kids that don't know how to give change back. You know, don't get up them. Just say, can I show you how that works? Have you got a minute? Okay, here's your $50. Add it back. Do this, do that. Give them a lecture or call over the boss and just say, look. And then ask them, don't you feel it's disturbing? You just spent 12 years in fucking school and you can't even do change? Something wrong with the education system, wouldn't you agree? But the boss should be also, because the amount of times I've got more back than what and you know, you could walk away and go, oh, whatever, but you know, you turn around and say, you've just ripped yourself off. Do you want to add that up again? You see the boss come over pretty quick.
People want to give me money, I'm more than happy to take it. I was at a Guns N' Roses concert a long time ago. I bought a $15 stubby cooler. I handed over $20. I got $35 back and a stubby cooler.
I'm
Okay.
talking about a small business owner, you know, not big multinationals, things like that.
Oh, it was just
But
the first one that popped into mind because it was one of my favorite ones. Because I stood there holding it out. I'm like, so we're done? Yeah. Okay. Gave her the opportunity.
So the point there was, Mark, was to speak up and train the young kids so they know their rights. They've got a brain because they're all just being so indoctrinated. There's no customer service anymore. They're in takeaway. You know, we could go on and on about this, but just you're right. Just something little every day would make a huge difference. I wouldn't wish my journey on anyone going through the court system. Not at all. The amount of time, money, expense, stress, blah, 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 blah. Even just to go to Brisbane for an application, flying from here, you're talking $500 in flights. That's because I got some reasonably priced ones. You're talking $300 for 2 nights accommodation, so $600. So we're at $1,000. Taxi backwards and forwards, 7 o'clock at night, whether I want to do the 50-cent fares on the train. By the time you get to court and what have you, you're talking at $2,000 just for an application hearing. And that's without the application fee and what have you. So, you know, it's not a fun ride. So I don't
It's
agree.
not a justice system, it's a torture system.
Yeah. There is look, even if you won your case, you're normally up for costs and you're out of pocket. So there really isn't anything. But unfortunately, if you're in it, it is good to know your rights and it's good to give it a fair go. And I'm giving it the best I can with the best I've got. And, just where to find the forms. What form do you put in? You know, that's not legal advice. That's telling
Well, you
someone
get
up
that
in
every time you call up the clerk and whatnot. You call Centrelink and go, hey, where are the forms? And the Centrelink will tell you where the forms are. It's all legally binding stuff. Is that legal advice too? Where do we draw the line in this kind of communication? You know, that's the thing, you know.
you're not allowed to speak past
we can
60
keep going for a long time.
Oh no, let's go. Sunday.
Yeah, it's Sunday. We've got shit to do.
All right.
So thank you very much, Heidi.
Your viewers have a happy Sunday, and we'll catch you around like a result.
No worries. Take it easy. You have a good one. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There we are, the Sunday podcast for today. Like I said, next week, taking a bit of a break, got shit to sort out. That's right. Made up a couple of images. I actually made this one a little while ago. If you've enjoyed the show and you want to help out and you're into the Bitcoin thing, there's a bunch of codes there you can scan and have a crack at. You know, if you're into that sort of thing, it's apparently a nice free way of doing things. You know, so pick your one. Whether you can go Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash. There's that one. Of course, there's PayPal, which some people have worked. It's all right. I sorted out the hacking scenario that I dealt with the other day. That's no longer an issue. So fuck you to those who try to get a hold of that one. Pretty confident it's government related in some way, shape, or form. But anyway, we got that passed and I got that sorted out. And you can use PayPal to say g'day and drop me a couple of bucks if you're interested. Obviously, I did make a mistake the other day with the Telegram, and that's the new Telegram page for those who haven't caught it up. And thanks to the 100+ people who have already jumped onto the new Telegram page, that's your opportunity there to get back onto the new Telegram thing at NQ Freedom Network. It's exactly the same, at NQ_freedom. Is the code there to find us on Telegram. It's also the same as how to find us on X if you want something more versatile. Look, where we are staring down the December 10th as it is. Bullshit, God knows what's going to happen. So it's a good idea to make sure that you've got options for us to communicate. As I understand, Telegram is going to be one of the ones to fight off the bullshit. So this will be a great way to find us. Another way to make sure that you find us is check all the links in the descriptions, but NQ Freedom Network at protonmail.com. We don't know exactly what the government's going to do because they haven't exactly been forthcoming with what's going on. I'm not particularly concerned. I think it's all going to blow up in their faces pretty quickly. And already Trump's trying to point out that, well, it's a state of tyranny. What the fuck are you doing, Australia? So this could go very badly for the Australian government. I believe it will, particularly seeing they're trying to go up against American corporations who are currently being backed by Trump, who doesn't take shit. So we'll see how it all pans out, but make sure you've got the list of various places you can find the North Queensland Freedom Network at the moment, because we just don't know what the future will hold. And it's going to be at least a week, maybe two, before I get back to do some more work with you guys. So it's very important that you guys have that information right here, right now. So thank you all very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. One last sip for the road. Sips to you. You amazing people. You found the network. You're watching the show. You're on the right path as it is. Now you've just got to do your little bit and come on the show. Tell me what you've done. What have you done to make this world a better place? Sips.